And it's interesting to me because Iger specifically states, and this makes me laugh, he specifically states that the company does better when there is a creative at the helm. And of course, he lumps himself in there. Oh. And the reason why this is important to note is because we on this podcast have long stated that there's a terrible imbalance between creatives and businessmen in upper leadership positions at the Walt Disney Company. At this moment in time, I still feel like the scales skew more towards the business side of things, despite the fact that Iger has said that he wants to put the creatives back in control. So let's give a listen to what he says in this particular clip.
Okay.
But how do you balance in streaming the need to continually refresh content versus your drive for quality, right? So how do you toggle between?
Well, first I'll get to that. I think to drive quality at a company, and you can look at the history of the company, it's kind of interesting. I happen to believe that demanding excellence from the top is really important.
Yeah.
And having me demand a level of quality and paying attention to it drives other people to deliver as much close to perfection as possible.
Right.
And if you look at the history of the company, when the CEO of the company had a deep creative background, the company thrived. And the three eras really were Walt's era and Michael Eisner's era, which, began the first 10 years were tremendous in terms of growth, returns, and quality. And I'd have to say in my tenure from 2005 to 2020, and I think the reason for that is because the entire organization knows there's some guy in a corner office that's watching everything carefully.
Right.
And there's also, it goes both ways. They want to perform, they want to deliver.
Yeah.
But it's constantly reminding everybody of the need to do that. Lately I've been telling everybody good isn't good enough. It has to be great. Just keep driving that. But if you force them to make too much, then that becomes almost impossible to do.
Right.
So there's that dynamic.
Yeah. There it is.
That's some good political talk right there.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm not answering the question, but I'm going to answer the question I want to answer.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of nothing.
Notice he left out the Chapek era.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everything stopped at 20. You remember he didn't he just say that I worked until 2020?
Oh, yeah. He was the third era of wonderful creativeness.
Yeah, I forgot to mention he stayed on for a bit after that, but
I wouldn't put him in the same rank as like Walt and Eisner. I'm
not
sorry.
even close.
As far as creatives.
It's scary that he seems to be suggesting that his presence is what brought about this strive for perfection.
Even that he suggested any kind of creative thing to the company.
Yeah.
I have never heard stories like with Eisner. I always heard stories where like Eisner would have 1,000 ideas, but maybe one was like a gem.
Yeah.
But at least he had 1,000 ideas.
Right.
I have never heard the stories of Iger just like, granted, maybe he's not the most vociferous person. I have no idea. I'll never know. But there's nothing going around any kind of fan universe or stuff where he's like, yeah, man, Iger had this idea, but never came to fruition. That. Have y'all heard anything like that?
He thumps his chest about being the guy who made Black Panther a reality. He does do that.
He just gave it the green light and the funding. What?
Well, I mean, he kind of says it right here. Some guy in a corner office that's watching everything carefully. He's the guy in the corner office. What was down there watching everything carefully? Eisner was down there watching everything carefully. Iger's in his office.
Yeah.
Having what people tell him, this is what's going on.
That's a great point, because I remember hearing Eisner with stories like, he had his nephew or something. He's like, something's missing here or whatever. And then Eisner's like, yeah, well, we should put that in there or something. He was in there.
Kirk, there was a guy who was not in his corner office, who had his boots on the ground, whose name is rarely ever spoken of in Disney circles anymore, who ran herd on the most successful Disney releases of the Iger era. A certain
hug too much?
Chief creative officer at Pixar and Disney Animation, who had a penchant for hugging, I believe.
He did like to hug.
Lots of hugging.
Wasn't just responsible for overseeing the classics like Toy Story and Finding Nemo and Cars and all that, but also oversaw Frozen and Moana and Coco and Wreck-It Ralph and others. And I don't know how good we've been doing ever since that guy left.
But that's exactly where the imbalance came.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that Iger's the creative here. He's the businessman in that.
No,
he'd be on the Roy side of the fence.
He's the Roy.
What he did was he purchased creatives. Lasseter, I know people are upset about the allegations made against I don't know. I wasn't there, but seeing that Apple and Netflix both work with the guy afterwards and generally if somebody was accused of that and they were guilty, you were out immediately. They let his contract run out. So I'm going to guess it wasn't as serious as all that, but who knows? I'm just saying that it wasn't Bob. There were other people. Lin-Manuel Miranda, another one.
Yes.
Why was Encanto successful? Was it the great story or was it the great music?
No, that's a style. That's a management style too. A lot of project managers will do. They'll beat their chest, like you said earlier, and say, "Look how I inspire all of this because I'm the top. That's me, and everybody likes what I'm doing." I mean, this guy came out way before in past episodes that we say where he's like, "Yeah, I'm not a creative person." I mean, what was he, a weatherman? He ain't no creative in that. He didn't even run the CGI to tell where the rain was coming from in whatever state he was in.
And it's hard to be creative when the direction from management sitting in their corner offices make more of that. I don't know how to make a sequel to Finding Nemo. He found his that's it, it's over. Make more. Finding Dory?
she had a memory issue.
Yeah.
We can explore that.
Yes. We went more Toy Story. We already wrapped it up already. Wrap it up again.
Wrap it again.
And do a live action version of it. I mean, this decision is not being made by artists.
No.
This is being made by the guy in the corner office. So I don't want to hear any of that, we tried to get them to make a lot of creative stuff. They just couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle the volume. The quality suffered because these creatives couldn't handle it. No, y'all were feeding them shitty ideas and they didn't know how to make work.
You created the volume.
Right.
That led to like bad quality control.
Trust your people. Trust
Sorry,
your
man.
art.
I can't lump you in there with Walton Eisner.
Pirates of the Caribbean was the last attraction that Walt was personally involved in. You find plethora of pictures of Walt involved in Pirates of the Caribbean, walking through. He gives you that tour of the models. He's playing around with the heads and all. And Iger may have opened a ton of attractions when he was around, or they may have opened when he was there. But how many was he personally involved in? You're gonna say you're the creative. I mean, shut up.
Right. He bought Marvel. When's the last time you ever saw a picture of him reading a Marvel comic book? There's no creativity in just saying, I'm buying that, and I'm buying that.
No. They don't have a business model that involves taking creative risks anymore. Everything is decided in a boardroom as terms to what should be the most successful. Now go make that.
Because that's what the numbers tell them. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether or not somebody has a good idea for that or not is an entirely different thing. And that's the one thing they can't wrap themselves around. Hey, let's do a Frozen ride. Okay, how do we do it? What are we going to do? I don't know. Just have them sing the songs. That's what they like. Sing the songs.
Well, we go build something totally new? No, what? Take that Norwegian thing and let's reskin that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Elsa's from Norway. Put her in there.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Stick it
Awesome.
in there.
That's creativity. So this next clip, I'm just going to play because to me,